Hello and welcome to the Switching to Plan B podcast. I'm Robin.
And I'm Jumbo.
And today we're going to be reviewing Drive to Survive.
Tires are okay for Plan B.
So I thought we'd just start with general thoughts of season 4 as a whole. What did we think?
Well, we literally just come off like a massive binge watch of it, haven't we?
Yeah. I do feel a bit overwhelmed by binge watching it as well as tired. I don't know.
I think I was sitting at a funny angle. I think I've gone a bit cross-eyed. No, I'm all right. I think it's generally a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
It is so heavy with Mercedes and Red Bull that there's no teams. Some teams just aren't in it at all, full stop. It's not F1 Drive to Survive. It's literally Mercedes and Red Bull title battle, and then some McLaren in there, a bit of Ferrari.
Tiny bit of Ferrari. Yeah, I feel like...
And that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I feel like as a whole, it did get me excited for the new season.
And it always does. Like, we literally just come off the back of testing. Testing finished today.
Yeah.
And we watched this, and then we're like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, let's get going in the season.
Yeah, excited for next year. But at the same time, it also made me feel I really hope this next year coming is not like last year's season. Because it was a bit mental. But yeah, I think as a whole, I feel like the other series, season 1 and 2.
But season one didn't have Ferrari and Mercedes in it. So they were the two teams battling for the title at the time. So it was cool to get insight of the other teams that we hadn't really seen too much of. Because let's be honest, Lewis and Max's and Red Bull Mercedes title fight, we already know like basically the whole ins and outs of already.
Exactly. Because it's on the media and it's all they talk about on race weekends is McLaren and no, not McLaren. I'm tired. Mercedes and Red Bull. So I feel like, and even a little bit more for McLaren and Ferrari, because they were the ones kind of just...
Best of the rest almost, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it's teams like, Williams. We got a little bit more of Williams this year than we normally do, but I think it was more because of Russell signing to Mercedes.
Yeah, because we kind of got 2 episodes with Williams nearly, didn't we?
Yeah. And then Alpine, it wasn't really...
It was Ocon. It wasn't really Alpine.
No, it was Ocon and it was Tsunoda. It wasn't really AlphaTauri either.
I've got to say though, Tsunoda, absolute legend. I absolutely love... I liked him before, but watching it... This is why I like Drive to Survive, because you understand a little bit more about the drivers that you don't know that much about.
Yeah.
So Tsunoda, for me, like... He's gone up in he was quite high already, but he's gone up in my ranking of, I really like Tsunoda.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe this is where you're going. Like, we've got no Alonso back in F1, no Alonso at all, no Vettel at all, no Stroll, no Aston at all, no Kimi, no Gio, no Alfa Romeo at all.
Yeah.
So
and that's one of the comments, like, fans loved the
14 seconds of Kimi last
exactly
time.
Yeah. Like every year he's had some sort of involvement, and then this year there's nothing. Not even the whole team wasn't in it. It just feels a bit off.
But like, how can we not even say bye to a legend as well?
I know. Yeah.
It's just strange. Like, they didn't even announce Bottas is going to Alfa Romeo. Like, literally Alfa Romeo was not mentioned at all. It was almost like they said, you cannot mention the word Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Or show them.
No.
It was just weird.
Yeah, it was a bit strange. Maybe they did say something like that. They didn't want to be associated with the craziness of Netflix. So on the back of that, we'll move into highlights, I think.
Yeah.
The bits that we did like. I will start off with saying the Haas episode was actually quite good. I liked seeing Gunther, obviously because of he's like the star Netflix show.
He's so good, Gunther.
Yeah. But it's also like that he had to, I wouldn't say model, he had to pose for Audi magazine.
Yeah, the Audi catalogue.
That's it. And there's little things like that companies they have to do because of their sponsors. It was interesting to find that out.
Who was it? It was him and Mick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're German.
Yeah, they're German, yeah.
They haven't made it into our Audi catalogue, though.
I was going to say, I haven't seen it. I would have picked one up if I saw Gunther on it. What's he doing in here? What was he posing with like a boat or something? A kid's plane boat or something? It was just so funny.
To be fair, I haven't seen those boats either.
No. Our Audi's not that good. The only thing I've seen interesting in the moment is going well off topic. It's just garden furniture sitting. I'm thinking it's freezing at the moment. Who's going to be in the garden?
We're still wearing our big coats.
I know.
Yeah, and it was also interesting to see how Nikita knew about the Russian weather. We were having this conversation where weather is different in all countries. Some countries you may be expecting rain and it's not a lot of rain. And then,
it always rains here.
And then in England, if it's rain, even if it doesn't say it's going to rain, it will probably rain.
Yeah, even if it's sunny, you still have to take a coat or an umbrella or something.
Because it might just turn into rain at some point. So he understood that it was going to be rain, a lot of rain. And so he got his inters early and they were saying how he might have made a mistake and actually worked out quite well for him. So that's something that on the race weekend, we didn't hear about it.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
So that's kind of what I wanted Netflix to do more of is those little nuggets of information that you don't see on a race weekend that are really interesting to find out, to have that throughout, because I'm sure there would have been other occasions where other things have happened that you'll be like, oh, we didn't know about this.
Yeah.
Or for example, Max not feeling well in Qatar.
Yeah. That was Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
The one where you put it in the wall on the qualifying lap.
Right, yes.
That's insane to think. When I watched that, and I used to follow a lot of basketball, still do, Michael Jordan had a game in the NBA Finals. I think it's like games 5 or 6 against Utah Jazz back in the 90s. And it was called the flu game. And he was really ill, but he still put up an amazing performance. And it was kind of like that kind of comparison. It's just a shame he couldn't like finish it, but we didn't even know that he was ill.
No.
To think that he was ill and he was performing that level just shows how good Max Verstappen was that season.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was crazy really to think, yeah, he was ill and he wasn't even fully going. I know we've had Lewis has been ill as well, and he's done well in previous seasons.
Yeah.
But it is mad. These guys they're almost not human.
No.
Like, how could you drive a car over 200 miles an hour?
And not be feeling well. Yeah.
Like, people can't do that and they're fully fit.
I know, yeah.
It's mad. Absolutely mad. But yeah, that is true. I didn't know that. And that's why this series is good. It's not about dramatizing all this other stuff and making weird rivalries out of stuff.
Yeah, they're also a bit weird, the rivalries.
Yeah.
Like, as if Yuki and Ocon are a bit of a rivalry. I'm like...
Surely Ocon and Gasly they're the same age, so that would be more of a rivalry.
And they've been in the sport for a little while as well.
Yeah,
like
Yuki was
is
a rookie,
but Ocon isn't.
No, and I thought that was weird. I think they were trying to get the AlphaTauri and Alpine dynamic sort of thing, because that was a bit of an interesting battle. Yuki, as I say, for me, I think that's my favorite episode, just because Yuki is so funny in it.
He is quite funny,
and he's a proper character.
Yeah,
but I like the fact that the first scene is him driving around Milton Keynes and saying it's like the most boring place in the world.
It is though.
And he's going around in his Honda NSX, which is like a supercar if you don't know, and he's going to drive around the roundabouts as quickly as possible to practice.
I know, yeah. And then he's going, nice.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently Milton Keynes, I don't actually know the area that well, but apparently it is known for being like the roundabout heaven, basically. It's just roundabouts everywhere, apparently.
Yeah, so it's a bit of an odd place where it was kind of built as like a second London for people that didn't want to be based in London, right? Because it was like cheaper. But it now is mainly. How do you
know this?
I don't know.
It's just I
thought it was just common knowledge.
No, I've never Milton Keynes. I've never heard anything. I think I've been there once.
I've not been there at all. We've gone past it on the train.
Yeah, but I've never looked and gone, yeah, we'll go and visit that.
No.
I
don't know anything that's there.
No. Apart from Red Bull.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was hilarious that they basically keep all the Red Bull Academy drivers in the same block of flats. So like Liam Lawson, who's an F2 driver, was there. Like,
helping him move out.
That pile of washing he had as well was massive.
I know.
I've never seen.
He must just buy new clothes.
He must do. Insane. Also, I thought it was out of order. They called the episode Growing Pains as well.
I know.
That's out of order to Yuki.
Yeah.
Especially seeing as Ocon is like, I think he's the tallest, bar Russell. I think he's the tallest driver on the grid as well.
Yeah. I think the point of it is that they are growing and maturing getting better.
I also, just cutting you up, but I also didn't realise how Yuki's work ethic, he does need to change that if he wants to be in F1 for the long term.
Yeah.
Like, he's quite lazy. He's funny, but he is a little bit lazy. If he can get knuckle under and start, like, you know, as he kind of started to do, I think the performances will start to come.
And the potential, he's got the potential to be really good if he does do that. So.
And I think more people like me will be like, go on, Yuki, because you kind of know he's a bit of a legend. Like, that's why I like Drive to Survive, because you get these little insights. It's just the stuff we want to see, not Horner chatting loads of rubbish and then Toto saying something, you know, and all of that. It's just been about them two. And it's like, you're not just F1. There's 8 other teams here.
Yeah. I was going to wait for the disappointments there, but...
I think there isn't many more highs, to be honest. I genuinely think it definitely was the worst season for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to get stuck into the disappointments immediately, but there were so many things that happened this season that they did not cover at all.
No.
So I was annoyed last season because they didn't cover the Sakir Grand Prix.
I know, because that was a massive moment. Yeah. And they have footage because they showed it this year.
Yeah, with Russell. We're talking about the Russell side of stuff, not the Sergio Perez side of stuff, because they showed that, but didn't show the Russell like heartbreak and all of that.
I know, yeah.
And they did have that in this year. And I was like, okay.
Only a little bit, because they only just said like, oh, he got a puncture. And it's like, no, it was so much more.
Yeah. But no Lando heartbreak in Russia, really. They very briefly touched on it.
Yeah.
There were so many things. They barely mentioned Spa, the fact that it wasn't even a race. Like, massive things. As we were talking about this earlier, the fans at Zandvoort, they didn't really mention Zandvoort at all.
Fans were crazy. That was such a good, I think the Spa would have probably been, because I think FIA or F1 have to agree, don't they?
I assume so. I assume they have to kind of... it is there.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that they would be okay with the whole controversy of Spa being a race, not being a race, and the whole craziness of it.
Yeah, maybe. But these are just the 3 that came off the top of my head.
I know
there's
what you
so
mean.
many more out there that I was like, you know, they could have gone into a lot more detail with. Baku was a nuts race.
It was,
we literally saw brake magic instance for like 5 seconds and that was it. No Checo Perez on the podium, no Vettel, no Gasly on the podium. I just feel like, why didn't we get Seb talking about he got second and the whole Hungary race? Like, it would have been great to have seen the insight of Seb because he was struggling to get past Ocon, and then to have that taken away. That would have been cool to have seen that.
Yeah.
And how he's bedding into a new team as well. Also, Alonso's podium, didn't get that.
No.
Seriously, there was loads of moments over the season that they just didn't add in. And instead they made up Daniel Ricciardo's episode, where you sort of the highs and lows of him. That they made it over 2 episodes and put an episode in between when it could have just been 1 episode. And they made this weird rivalry between Lando and Ricciardo. Like, I don't know, I think they painted Lando in a little bit of bad light sometimes. I was thinking, you know, but he forgot the cameras were there or something. Because sometimes you do get a little bit, you say things that, you know, you might laugh about someone behind their back or something. But like, it's not intentionally nasty. It's just that you thought it's a little bit cringy or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just came off that was really like, out of order, and I was like, why have they put that in?
Yeah, it's almost like you want to see behind the scenes, but you don't want to get in. What's the word that I'm looking for?
It was like they were trying to cause problems. It's like they were trying to cause mischief.
Yeah, I was going to say you don't want to breach your privacy.
Yeah, and I feel they did that on a few occasions.
Yeah, which I thought that's why I would mention it, because it's almost like you don't really need to show those things, because it's just a bit, not unethical, but it's a bit like, it's just not needed, and it's like for the good of the sport and teammates and stuff. You don't really want to go around stirring stuff up.
No.
But then you've also got showing Russell
in his pants. Well, I don't know why we needed to see that.
We didn't need to see that. It's not interesting to see Russell in his pants.
Well, some people might find it
maybe so, but I
don't think it was needed.
No,
you know,
it didn't add anything to the narrative. No.
And also, like, that reminded me, Ocon was a bit down at one race, and he said to them, you know, give us a minute. And they followed him into his like private room and were looking through the door. They left the door ajar and you could see Ocon there. And I was like, geez, guys, like, he's asked for a bit of a break and you're still just like stalking him. And I was just a bit like, I know they've got a job to do, but you know, when you're like, at some point there's a moral part of you that goes, you know, these are human beings at the end of the day. They've asked for like 5 minutes. Just give them 5 minutes. Like they've literally just been driving a car at 200 plus miles an hour for an hour and a half.
Yeah. It's draining.
Yeah. I was like, come on, guys. Like, seriously.
Yeah. It's not a reality TV show. It's a documentary kind of going a little bit behind the scenes of F1. That's how I see it anyway. And I felt like there was a lot of footage of the actual driving that we see on a Saturday and a Sunday. And a lot of commentary based on those things. So you had voiceovers of what was happening and it felt like it was a Sunday race commentary, but it wasn't the normal one.
It was Crofty, and then I think it was some of, I want to say BBC Radio 5 Live. I want to say it was one of those.
Okay, because I was thinking it's not the normal stuff that we normally listen to.
No, and the other thing I was going to say, they repeated so much stuff all the time. You would literally think there's only about 5 races in that season. Yeah. Because we went to Bahrain at the beginning. We went to Monaco about 500 times, it felt like. We went to Silverstone. You know, I was like, why we keep going back to the same races every time?
I know. There's 22 races. There's 10 episodes. You could easily fit like 2 races in each episode. Yeah. And not have to... Yeah, because there was basically every race had something.
But they actually reuse the same line and footages. Footage for, I was going to say footages. I don't think that's the thing, but the footage in different episodes, as if we would forget. And I was like, at one point, I was like, are we watching the same episode again? Because I've just heard Sergio Perez say who's famous around here at Barcelona twice. Yeah, and I was like, what is this, deja vu or something? I was a bit like, did they forget that we'd already seen? I don't know. Yeah, it didn't feel as polished as it normally does.
No, it didn't.
Some of the editing was really good, but it definitely was a step down for sure.
Yeah, like Yuki's reaction every single time he crashed was the same 2 words, whereas I don't think that every single time he crashed he would have said those same 2 words in the same tone of voice. Yeah. So it's like, maybe don't add it in, or...
And just some of the way they cut stuff. They had Lando speaking, but it was Daniel Ricciardo in the car at Hungary as well. And I was like, that is so...
Yeah, because you can see from the helmet. Yeah. And it's really clear. But at the same time, I kind of feel like maybe the Netflix guys that are editing aren't F1 fans. And so they that's a mistake.
Yeah, maybe. But there was even things like they were getting at Spa. It was the wettest weekend in F1 that I can remember for a long time. And they had bits of Spa or bits of a track where it was sunny halfway through the thing. And I was thinking the continuity of this doesn't flow properly. Yeah, You were talking about storytelling earlier. The footage sometimes just also didn't do that. Sometimes if you're not telling that good a story, at least the footage it paints the story for you. That's kind of why you watch a film, because sometimes you don't need to have all of this stuff. Yeah. But I don't know, just the continuity of stuff just didn't work. Like Horner going, get in there. And that was on the last lap of Abu Dhabi. And they put that in for like qualifying at like Saudi Arabia or something. And I was like, no, this is just wrong. Yeah. Like, it just felt like they've cut paste job. And it was just, I don't know, it didn't flow properly. And it felt really sort of materialized. Couldn't say that properly. Like they just wanted to fabricate a story.
Yeah. And every reaction, because when you said that now, it's like, at one point, I think, I don't remember which team, but let's say Verstappen got beat P2 instead of P1. And the like, I don't know, garage. Yeah. They were all like super disappointed about it. And you're like, well, I don't think that they'd be that disappointed for it. Or it was something like that, where every single moment they show so much emotion. And it's like, I don't think that happens that way. It's like they amplify everything to 11, and the whole time it's not like that, and that's not what we want to see. We don't want to see exaggerated film of what 2021 was. We want to see a behind the scenes of what it was.
I think you've nailed it there. I think we wanted to see things that we hadn't seen throughout the season. We wanted to see like a little bit behind the door of like, I don't know. We didn't see much of Mick Schumacher. He's the only rookie we didn't really get an insight into. And maybe he didn't want to be in it and he's introverted. I think he is quite introverted. But still, it would have been cool to have like understood some of the drivers, or someone like, I don't know, Lance Stroll. Like he comes to me, I know he was in the other series, but maybe get like a proper, Who
especially
is
with
Stroll?
Aston Martin.
Yeah, and like it's a new start and all of that.
You could have had a Lance Stroll episode,
or even like his relationship with Seb, or like something like that. Like we got a little bit with Carlos and Charles, and they actually seem to be working really well together.
Yeah,
I would like to see a bit more of that. Maybe I don't know. Like,
I think the stories were not well told like they were in the first episode. It feels like in the first series, it feels like they knew what story they wanted to tell and they told it and it was good. And then this series, I don't feel like they really knew what story they wanted to tell.
Maybe there was too many, but the way how they produced it is almost like they went, if you watched that and you didn't watch F1 and you didn't see anything with this season, you would have thought, not much actually happened in that season, because they're just almost like some of the stories are just nothing.
Showing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like they could have had one episode where they showed, there was one episode called, I want to say it's like Hard Racing.
Yeah.
They could have shown all of Max Verstappen and Lewis's crashes. They could have shown where they raced well and where they didn't race well, and all the controversies around that. That could have been one episode. And then you had that over and done with.
Yeah.
Instead of building it up for a whole season. I feel like we heard way too much of Horner and Toto. Yeah. It's not about them. It's about the drivers.
Yeah, and Max.
And the teams, not the team principals. It made it like they were the star of the show.
And it was like with Max obviously takes a step back from Netflix, because he doesn't want like the whole fabrication of the stories and all this stuff and the over dramatization of it and stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
And I think he's making a stand for it. It's actually very good. Although they cut a lot of stuff that he's said in the media into it anyway.
Yeah.
So they've still painted the picture. So even though he's made that stand, he's still in it a lot anyway. But it's how little Lewis actually says as well. Like Lewis doesn't really say that much in it.
No.
So I was like, it's literally just Horner and Toto.
Yeah, it was.
The whole time. And I was like, it kind of feels like they've gone, we can promote our teams and stuff here. And all I felt like it did was, I feel like it's going to wind a lot of people up again. If we thought Twitter was bad at the end of the season and during the season with the incidents that happened.
You were getting wound up.
I was getting wound up, yeah, because I was thinking, some of the stuff that these guys are saying is just idiotic. Like, do they hear themselves? They sound like idiots. I'm getting annoyed now, but they generally sound like idiots because they're so biased that they can't see that they're both being penalised. They literally think one team is being penalised and that
everything goes against our team. They both teams think that. And I'm like, no, things have gone to either team. It doesn't make sense the way the decisions were made.
No.
But things have gone to either team, and it's like every race one of them loses out somehow. But
there was a quote by Michael Massey in it that I thought summed up exactly what I thought he was trying to do. He said, I'm a friend, I'm a rule enforcer, I'm a safety officer and all of this stuff. And I thought, he said, I'm a friend first. And I was thinking, no. You're the racing director. You're supposed to be the teacher in this situation. If you think of it like a students and teachers thing, you're the rule maker and
keeping them in line. Yeah.
Enforcer. You're supposed to keep everyone in line. You're not a friend here.
No.
You shouldn't be trying to be a friend. And that makes total sense. Oh, 1 week we're trying to keep Toto happy and the next week we're trying to keep Prost and Red Bull happy.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's why you've lost your job, because you've tried to be a friend with them.
Yeah.
Charlie Whiting was not a friend to any of them. As far as I'm concerned, they respected him.
Yeah.
He wasn't a friend, though.
No, but I feel like to have that respect relationship, it's like a working relationship, and also like you can sit and talk to them over dinner, but you don't necessarily need to go on holiday together.
No, you don't need to talk about your family with them and all of that.
And it's like, I think there's a bit of a line, and I think because they spend so much time together, as Ricardo mentions in the first series, because ours started automatically playing.
Yeah, so we play next episode, and it started playing the beginning again. I thought,
And he does say that it's a little bit like a circus.
A travelling circus.
It's a travelling circus. Well, circus is travel.
I guess so, yeah.
So there's a bit like a circus where they, are in one city one day, and then the next week they're in another city. He said, I think 24 hours they'll be in another city. And in a whole different part of the world sometimes, especially the way that the calendar has been put out next year. But that kind of makes you into a little bubble, I think. They all, I know it's a lot of people, but it's a limited amount of people always moving about. So I think that then they kind of become your friends. And I feel it's strange because I feel all the other teams, their principals and the teams seem to get along except for these two top teams.
I think, I wouldn't say they're friends. I think that you kind of tolerate them, or you almost like you respect them. There's a mutual respect between everyone. I feel like that's...
Or you avoid them if you really don't like them.
Yeah, exactly. There's enough people there. You can literally just stay in your own bubble. You can stay in your hotel room and get in your race car and go racing, and that's it. Or, do your job as a pit crew and go home. Like, I generally just think that it was quite sad to see the mutual respect he had gone completely.
Yeah.
And I think that was quite sad to see, because at the end of the day, I think Susie Wolff, I was surprised at how much she was in it, but I thought she was fantastic.
She was really good in it.
She was really reasonable. And, bear in mind she's married to Toto, she even said things like, I understand, Christian. I was thinking, we've got a neutral one in the middle here.
Which I feel like is kind of what Will Buxton and the other lady who I didn't
Jenny
pick her
Gow, BBC.
They're supposed to do, but I feel like they're constantly trying to...
they're stirring it.
Not necessarily stirring it, but they're like... The word I used earlier was embellishing, but I don't know if it's embellishing. It's like kind of like over dramatizing what's going to happen.
But that's what Netflix likes.
If he doesn't show what he's made of this race, it might be all over for him.
Still got 11 races to go.
And it's like, no, it's not all over.
I mean, F1 changes so fast. From one week you could be a hero, and the next you could be out on the first corner. So like.
And it's just, but it's like that constantly. And I just felt like Susie Wolff was
the voice of reason. The voice of reason.
She was saying everything that you kind of feel like, yes, this is what you want. You want someone that when you're trying to understand what is happening, she's just giving you the facts like a journalist should, in my opinion. Not these over dramatized things where you go, okay, so like if he does go P2, does that mean that he's out? No, it doesn't,
But the way how she came across, I thought, this is how the good pundits for Sky work for me. So Martin Brundle, again, does that same thing. Just gives you the facts. Try not to give his opinion so much. They do get him to eventually do it. But Karun Chanduk is exactly the same, and he's quality.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davidson as well. Very rarely actually tried to give their opinion. Just give you the facts of it. Bear in mind, she's married to Toto. She said, I could understand what Christian's doing. I was thinking... I think it's very clear to see what Christian's doing. He's trying to wind up Toto. It worked. And then he's gone, right, I've got him now.
Yeah.
And he just pushed it. And he went too far for me. He went a bit too far because he went a bit personal with stuff. And he was just
I think that's
constantly on him. And I was like, it just made him, in my opinion, like I wasn't his biggest fan, but just the constant like berating Toto and Mercedes and trying to do it. I know ultimately it kind of worked because they won a championship. And Max, for me, was the better driver as a whole over the season.
I wouldn't say they won the championship because they got under Mercedes' skin, though.
No, but like it was definitely
they won the championship because of the way FIA were making decisions.
Well, Michael Massey.
He worked for FIA, no?
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
I just think Christian went too far. He didn't need to go that far.
No.
And I think Susie, there was a quote that Susie said that I won't spoil it for anyone, but she basically said that you don't have to be such and such. There's still a sporting, like for me, you can still be a gentleman or you can still be a sporting person at the end of the day, and you can still treat everyone with respect. I feel like the respect went, and I thought that was really sad to see.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Well, the only other thing that I was thinking is that we've got 10 episodes. We've got 10 teams.
Yeah,
it doesn't take a genius to work out. Well, is that not just one episode per team?
Yeah.
Surely that's a bit more interesting because then we can actually find, this is what happened at Alfa Romeo with Gio's contract, and this is why it didn't end very well. Because I still don't fully know. I really like Gio and I really like Alfa Romeo. Still don't know.
No. I was hoping for a little bit of Kimi, but I could tell that wasn't going to happen.
I also feel like the first 2 episodes were pretty poor.
Yeah.
It definitely got better as the season went on, but normally you want to come in quite strong and come in like swinging, trying to get people's attention and stuff. And I kind of felt like, I don't know, I was struggling with the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like some episodes were based on the race. Some episodes were based on team. other. Yeah, I don't understand what. I don't feel like. Yeah, I don't feel as a whole. I don't feel like it was very clear what they were trying to do, and I don't feel like it was a story very well told. I also don't feel like they summed up the season well.
It finished really strange. It finished with Toto basically being a villain at the end, which was really...
saying everyone has a mark on the back.
As a target on their back, yeah. And it was just...
And
it just stopped. And I thought, all right, so literally Kimi, there's no goodbye to Kimi. There's no like wrapping up of how everyone finished or anything like that. Like,
but it also makes it a bit like... It made me feel a bit uneasy about this whole thing because now they are back and going to race next weekend. And it's like, well, is Mercedes now... hating on everyone, like that comment. Did it really? Did they? I just feel like it should have ended in a high where you then get excited for next week.
Yeah,
and it didn't.
And normally at the end of it, they go like, "What do you want to do next season? Where are you going to be at next season?" sort of thing. And you might get someone like Lance Stroll saying "world champion" or something. And you're like, "Okay, Lance," but who knows this season because the rule change? We've got no idea. But like, I don't know. There was none of that. There's no like little clips of the other drivers or anything. It was, it was strange. It was very strange. I genuinely feel like it's very different to what it used to be. Drive to Survive. I doubt we'll be the only ones that have been a little bit disappointed with it. I did hear some murmurs that it wasn't that great. I tried to go in with it as neutral a thing as possible, a neutral viewpoint as possible. But literally after the first 2 episodes, I was like, not sure I'm feeling it this year.
Yeah. I was disappointed.
They've got to change it up, in my opinion. They've got to do something different because they can't just keep feeding the same stuff all the time. Like I think
it can't be a summary of the year.
No, because a 10-hour summary where Sky Sports could do it in an hour and a half on their channel. Like,
why would you watch it?
Yeah,
I mean, we probably still would watch it, but we wouldn't enjoy it. We'd be complaining about it on this podcast. But I give us a bit more information about what happens behind the scenes. What do they do on a Saturday? Do they really just drive and then go home? I'm sure they must do loads of work. It would be interesting just to see. Not necessarily have to listen.
That is true because we used to, in the previous season, they used to be in some of the engineers' meetings afterwards. We got a little bit with that with Lewis, but it turned out it was Lewis literally just like, Max says a double waved yellow sort of thing. Have you seen this, Ron? I didn't like that. It was a bit like Telltale. And I was like, oh, for goodness sake, I understand all teams do this. But I don't know. It's just like, it's just, they showed things I was thinking, we don't need to show this. Like, we already know this as well.
It was making a lot of people look petty, which I know they all are. But that's kind of part of their work.
Yeah.
And it was just painting, as we don't know, like as someone that doesn't know what their day-to-day is, then you think that all they sit and do is check out what other teams are doing.
And some of these people are so intelligent, like so intelligent. And it's like, it just came across as like kids in a playground going, whinging. It's like, Anyway, I am very excited for next week though.
Yeah.
I
think that was the most positive thing from the series was that it's gotten us a bit excited about next week.
Yeah. We also have set up a fantasy league, a fantasy F1. It's in the description. So if you want to check it out, you can join our fantasy team for this upcoming F1 season.
If you want to hear about it, we talk about it more in the previous podcast.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's pretty much everything we've gone through today with Drive to Survive. Let us know your thoughts of Drive to Survive in the comments below. And if you've got any questions, also let us know and we'll answer them in an upcoming podcast. Next episode will be the first race review of the season. Cannot wait at Bahrain. So yeah, that'll be coming out next Tuesday. And we'll see you all then. Take care.
See ya.
Tires are okay for plan B.